while we're here, let's move to football real quick. The discussion that's been had all over the place is what's going on with Colin Kaepernick, his position, the position he took, and more importantly, how he's being treated. Is he being blackballed? Is he being redlined? What is happening with him? What I'd like to start with you, Stephen, and we'll go back to Rod. You know, I'd like to know.
Let me talk first.
Oh, go ahead.
Stephen A. Go ahead, finish it up. Let me talk first. Yeah, we'll do it like that.
You want is that your way of getting an assist early?
Yeah, I'm gonna have him give me an assist.
Give you an assist.
Well,
he knows this is my brother. He knows we go back a long way.
Yeah. Well, on the Kaepernick situation, and I'm gonna be real quick on this, but my whole outlook on it, when I look at it, it's just kind of strange because you know we have somebody who made a stance, and he made a stance because he felt like you know there was racial profiling, blacks were being beat up by cops, and there was injustices. So he kneeled down. And he made a mistake, I guess, you know, from what everybody's saying. But his intent was great. So when I look at the whole scope of things, now it's kind of turned into Colin Kaepernick kneeling down and people are having an issue with that. So now we're forgetting about what he really did it for. And that was because of, you know, the racial injustice. And so I just think it's important that we stay on what's really happening. And I think a lot of times when we have these conversations and we have these shows and these debate shows, we debate one thing or the other, but we never get to what it really is, you know. So we have all these conversations, but we kind of get off track and we start talking about, you know, Colin Kaepernick, and then we have people, you know, in our community, the other athletes and those guys, and I think, like Stephen A. just talked about us staying together and us being with each other. And you had, you know, the great Jim Brown, who's, you know, he's been a big civil rights leader for all these years, and we're kind of speaking against him. And I think, you know, it's important for everybody to kind of come together and help him, because at the end of the day, you know, these things have been going on forever, and it still goes back to us coming together and surrounding him. And right now, he needs help. He needs our support, and you know, I just think it's important to do that. And I just hate, like personally, I just hate to see him out there. It's like he's on the ledge, and everybody's kind of waiting to see if he's going to jump off. And I think this is a great opportunity for everybody to come together and make a stand about what's going on.
One of those situations where, you know, I mean, my cousin's here, but thank God my sisters and everybody ain't here, because they would just be like, oh Lord, please don't do it, but I'm gonna do it. Let me first say, my only issue with Colin Kaepernick is when he announced to the world that he's not one to vote. If you are black and you don't believe that it's important to vote, just do me a favor and stay the hell away from me. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. I'm not interested in hearing that level of ignorance, because it is ignorant. Because the bottom line is that outside of money, the #1 instrument of change in our nation is the power to vote. And if you don't exercise it, you've disrespected yourself, you've disrespected your ancestors, you've disrespected our history, and I have no respect for you. It's just that simple. And it's not about you voting or not voting, it's about you announcing to the world what you didn't do, knowing that people were looking at you, watching you, looking to emulate your behavior. So to me, it was incredibly irresponsible for him to say that. But that is my only issue with Colin Kaepernick. I support his right for kneeling for the flag. I support the cause behind it, racial inequality and prejudice and police brutality. His willingness to bring attention to all of those things are incredibly, incredibly admirable. He is being blackballed. There is no doubt about it. But why are we acting surprised? this is where, and if there's white folks in this room, damn it, listen, because you're being educated, okay? And just absorb it, because I'm talking to my brothers and sisters here, because it drives me crazy when I speak, and I go throughout the country speaking. Of course there is a way things should be. But it's very, very important that we point to the way things are. You know, you can't advance if you're not willing to deal and embrace reality. There is no way your black behind could kneel for the national anthem and not know people were going to misconstrue it as you disrespecting the flag and our servicemen and women. They're wrong. That is not what you were doing. But you had to know they were going to change that narrative. You had to know it. You did it anyway. Not only did you do it anyway, but you walked around with pig symbols on your socks to point the finger at the police. Very disrespectful to law enforcement officials, because by the way, there are black police officers. There are Latino police officers. When you do something like that, you exacerbate a situation. He owns that. Then, keep in mind, he had a contract. Everybody forgets that. Now, he might have gotten cut, but he literally, months in advance, renegotiated and restructured his deal, costing himself $14.5 million just for the freedom to get out of the contract. So I'm going to forfeit $14 million. And then I'm going to whine? No, you don't get to do that. You knew. And by the way, the team that you wanted to leave was the one team who supported you, because the San Francisco 49ers stood by you. Now this is real. I'm not giving y'all emotion. I'm giving you facts. Everything that I just said is fact. So then we take it a step further. Now you want to go and you want to go on the free agent market. He wants to go to Miami. But you wearing a Fidel Castro t-shirt. Hold on. 34% of Miami's population is Cuban. And regardless of the history of Fidel Castro, that some people can change or find something about it, to most Cubans, he is their definition of Adolf Hitler. So wearing that t-shirt is problematic. Then he goes to Baltimore. So Steve Bisciotti is the owner. Ray Lewis is a former player. Steve Bisciotti reveres Ray Lewis, who, no matter what you think about him, is going into the Hall of Fame as the greatest linebacker in the franchise history and one of the greatest linebackers in the history of the National Football League. When something happens in Baltimore, they reach out to him and defer to him. He goes on there and say, focus on football, not all of this stuff. You've done your part, now it's up to us. Steve Bisciotti is taking the pulse of the people. And Kaepernick's girlfriend, who is reportedly the one who instigated him taking a knee for the national anthem, decides to send out a tweet comparing Bisciotti and Ray Lewis to Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson's characters as slave owner and slave in the movie Django. And Samuel L. Jackson was a different kind of slave because he was that house you know what. That was your tweet. Now I ask a simple question and I'll end it this way. If it's your team and this dude does that to you, you hiring him?
I got a mic now.
That's all I'm saying.
I just got to ask a quick question, and I get all that and all the things that he's done, but to me it still goes back to kind of like, what was the intent? What was the intention of this? So, you know, we say all that, you know, he's made some mistakes, they've made mistakes, but do you ever get back to the point? You know what I mean? Do we? But what I'm saying is, the point is, he started this whole thing out with racial inequality and cops beating on people. So now he's made mistakes. We get that. I understand that. So some dumb stuff, good stuff. But it just seems like we always get to off-track it and we get to talk about other things. And I think at some point in time, like I said, we're going to have to gather with him because his intent is about us. So really, he has empathy for people. And that's really a lot of the problem. And so I think...
Well, let me ask one question. So, Stephen, the points you made, you know, and following up on Rob, the points you made were right on the money in terms of, you know, he opted out of his contract, some of the ways he handled things. And look, he's a younger guy. But when you really break it down, this is the NFL. We're talking about winning, you know. Up in, you know, the Jets are in New York. They got no shot of winning. You know what I mean? Oh, you got a lot of. You got a lot of. Let me.
I'm glad you went there. I'm glad you went there.
But this guy, he was, you know, one drive away, really 4 yards away from being a contender in a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Can I stop you?
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Question: how many years ago was that? You don't even remember.
Yeah. It was the Beyonce Super Bowl.
What I'm trying to say,
when Beyonce knocked the lights out.
When Beyonce knocked the lights out in the Superdome and all in New Orleans and all of this other stuff. Here's the reality, y'all. Colin Kaepernick was 1-10 last year. See, this is where we get real with it. We know the Jets stink. But you must ask yourself, is the risk worth the potential reward? What I'm saying to you is, even what Kaepernick did, they still gonna stink. So if they still gonna stink, why do I need you? Because you have to look at it. I'm just talking business. Me personally, I think he should be in the NFL. I think Colin Kaepernick could start for at least 10 teams, and I think he could be a backup for at least 31 of the 32 teams in the NFL. He is being blacklisted. There's no excuse. They are clearly blackballing him because of the stance he took, and they trying to keep other cats in line, making sure that you don't do that. But to get to Rod's point, in terms of staying on point, his message, he was looking out for us. All true. That's what we've been doing. The problem is that as a guy that's on national TV every day, talking about this stuff, what drives me crazy is that I'm trying to get to the racial inequality and the brutality on the part of police officers and all of these other issues, and then somebody is able to point out to the stupidity you've engaged in, which distracts it. Because the bottom line is this: like Chris Rock said, they wanted Chris Rock. A network wanted Chris Rock to host a town hall on race in America. What's the problem? Chris Rock turned it down. You know why he turned it down? He said, I'm sick and tired of it. What the hell I need to talk to about it for? What the hell black people need to talk about it for? You want me to host a town hall on race? I don't want anything but white people in the audience. Let them explain why they are that way. We know, right? So if we know, it's the same principle. We know what the issue is. Colin Kaepernick accurately highlighted it. We respected it. We were willing to comment on it. And then other ammunitions were thrown out there for the masses who don't want to address this to lean on it. And it's not about us. It's about changing them. And if 66% of your population looks different from you, comes from a different culture than you, believes differently than you, and are looking for any excuse to avoid the issue, what you give it to them for? That's what we need to focus on, not giving folks a reason to divert and evade the issue.
Just one more. Yeah. I think at some point in time, though, we can change the narrative. So when those things are happening and he's making those mistakes, you know, you could talk about it, but there's a narrative and there's a way you can project that I think will help him and help us, because we're going to make mistakes. So if we point all of them out and direct all that, then that's the energy you give into the people that are listening to it. So I believe there's a narrative that we can change. And, you know, yeah, I listen. I watch these shows and I listen to people, and I just think, you know, we have a way of kind of making it TV more than making it reality and what it really should be and what it's all really about.
I respectfully disagree with that. I respectfully disagree with that. I host a national show that's seen by millions. I host a radio show that's heard by millions.
I'm not talking about you.
I know that. I know you're not. Now I'm getting to a point. And I did YouTube videos for ESPN in the month of May. And 59 million people watched it. And I get calls from folks who ain't black. And no matter how many times you drill in their head what his issue was, this is their issue. And so if it's their issue, at some point in time, you got to ask yourself, do you want to be listened to or do you want to be heard? It's about the people you're communicating with and reaching them. Now I'm in a bar somewhere down south about 2 months ago, and I walk in there and about 10 white folks walked up to me. They were all middle-aged. And when I say Southern, Lord have mercy, I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Right.
And by the time I broke it down to them, they were like, Stephen A., I reckon you're right. You got a damn good point there. I didn't look at it that way. Now here's the deal. I have been saying the same thing over and over and over and over again for at least 2 months. But they hear what they hear. And that is, it's not about us not changing the narrative. Hell yeah, you black, you changing that narrative. Look, man, it's racial inequality, it's police brutality. That's what he was talking about. They don't want to hear that. He disrespected our flag. Okay. Got to deal with that.